the SEK Community Health Center.
President-elect Joe Biden prepares to announce some key cabinet picks this week. I'm Natalie Brand with who he's expected to name.
And a vaccine developed in the UK to protect against the coronavirus is showing promising results.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Authorities make an arrest after a weekend shooting death in McDonald County. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes. The McDonald County Sheriff's Office investigates a shooting death after finding a body at an apartment complex in Knoll. Authorities say a little after 10 Sunday morning, both the Knoll Marshal's Office and Sheriff's deputies responded to a call of shots fired at the Knoll Heights apartments. Officers discovered a man with gunshot wounds in an apartment on the second floor. Witnesses identified a suspect who had fled the scene. That suspect is now in custody after an arrest in Benton County, Arkansas. No names are being released at this time. Pittsburgh police need your help finding a suspect involved in an armed robbery at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas. It happened Saturday evening around 6 p.m. Surveillance video shows a man entering the Pittsburgh pharmacy. Pittsburgh police and the Crawford County K-9 unit responded. No one was injured during the robbery. Anyone with information should call Pittsburgh police. The Carthage YMCA Cat Tracks swim team members surprised one of their coaches with a check for $10,000 over the weekend. Swim team held a swim-a-thon to raise the money to help support Cherry Woody's medical expenses after a tragic dive into a pool left her with a spinal injury and unable to walk. The accident happened over the summer and requires Woody to make multiple hospital visits once a week for therapy. The team presented the check to Woody on Sunday at the annual Cat Tracks National Swim Meet.
That's more than anybody. Like, they worked their tails off for that, and it just shows the love that we have for each other.
Sherry says she's working every day and is determined to walk again. We wish her the best.
I bet you she does.
That's right.
She does.
Well, driving to work this morning, a bit of a challenge. Thank goodness that fog has lifted.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, remember, we had those freezing slick spots as well. Now, here's what happened. Finally, little sun peeked out, and we've got the precipitation up to the northwest that has given up on the freezing mist and now turned just over to rain. And our accumulation numbers, they've been just trace amounts, nothing like what we're going to get come tomorrow. That's right, a little harbinger of things to come. Live look from the Freeman Health System sky camera, where we do have mostly cloudy skies on this Monday morning. Temperatures pressing all the way up to 52 degrees. That south wind kind of ebb and flow, really not going to pick up until tonight. And our temperatures right now considerably better. We had everywhere from 27 to 30 degrees earlier this morning, and now we've got a slew of high 40s, low 50s on the board. Not a whole lot of bump up for the afternoon. Clouds kind of keep us from doing that. But the positive aspect of the clouds, trap that heat, keep us well above the freezing point as we work into Tuesday morning. Now, speaking of Tuesday morning, look at what's going to develop out to our southwest. So just in time for the morning commute, we're going to get thunderstorm activity that's going to roll through. Going to get some heavy rain with that, a little afternoon break, but then we're going to be right back at it for the evening as well. As a matter of fact, more thunder and lightning for Tuesday night all the way into Wednesday morning. But here's the bright part, Tanya. After we get rid of the fog from this morning, the rain from Tuesday, we can sit back and actually enjoy a couple nice days as we approach the Thanksgiving holidays. For those of you that are going to be on the road, will not have any travel concerns if you're leaving Wednesday or perhaps Thursday morning.
That's right. All right, well, it sounds like getting in that afternoon football game might still happen.
I think you will. It may be a little muddy. I'm not going to lie to you about that. We're going to look at it anywhere from inch and a half by the time Tuesday's over.
All right.
Okay.
Something to keep an eye on. Thanks, Michael. Well, Sunday was the busiest day at U.S. airports since March 16th, despite warnings from health officials against traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday. Chris Van Cleve reports from Reagan National Airport in Virginia.
From packed gates at Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport.
This feels dangerous.
To long lines at LAX. And this traffic at Chicago O'Hare. Americans are on the move, COVID or not.
There's a lot more people here than I thought would be here.
More than 1 million people were screened at TSA checkpoints on Friday, nearly 1 million more on Saturday. despite the CDC urging Americans not to travel for the Thanksgiving holiday.
It's a family necessity trip, so take the necessary precautions.
AAA estimates up to 50 million Americans will travel for Thanksgiving, down from last year. But the holiday comes as the U.S. sets daily records for coronavirus cases. For some, that means getting COVID tests before spending time with their loved ones.
I'm probably going to get tested again once I get back, so to make sure I'm good.
But experts warn testing could provide a false sense of security because of COVID's up to 14-day incubation period. 2 or 3 days after a negative test, you could become contagious even before showing symptoms. That's why Neil Siegel, a public health professor, canceled his Thanksgiving plans.
When I was weighing the option to travel back to California to see my parents, both of whom are elderly and have chronic health conditions, I realized that the potential risk that I posed to them in traveling was probably too great. And of course, I wouldn't really be able to live with myself if I knew that I brought COVID-19 into their home.
With millions of people on the move this holiday season, health experts are very concerned about the potential for a deadly COVID surge just in time for Christmas. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
Well, Michigan and Pennsylvania could certify President-elect Joe Biden as the winner in those states as early as today. But President Trump still has no immediate plans to concede, even as President-elect Joe Biden gets ready to announce the first members of his cabinet. Natalie Brand reports from the White House.
While President Trump golfed Sunday, a small but growing number of Republicans escalated their calls for him to concede.
We're beginning to look like we're a banana republic. It's time for them to stop the nonsense.
But the Trump campaign is appealing a federal judge's dismissal of a lawsuit to block certification of votes in Pennsylvania. In a scathing opinion issued over the weekend, the judge compared the president's lawsuit to Frankenstein's monster, haphazardly stitched together.
The conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment.
The president's team is also paying for a partial recount in Wisconsin's 2 largest counties. President-elect Joe Biden won the state by about 20,000 votes. As President Trump continues to pursue his legal options, President-elect Joe Biden is building his cabinet with some key picks expected to be announced Tuesday. CBS News confirms Mr. Biden has selected longtime aide and diplomat Tony Blinken to be his Secretary of State. CBS News also confirms the former vice president plans to nominate Linda Thomas Greenfield as ambassador to the United Nations. She was the former Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs and one of the highest-ranking black diplomats at the department. But nominees won't be able to receive their mandatory background checks until the General Services Administration recognizes an election winner. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
CBS News also confirms Jake Sullivan is President-elect Biden's choice for National Security Advisor. Sullivan, a close aide of Biden's, was one of the small group of U.S. officials who secretly met with Iranian officials in 2013 to begin the diplomacy that developed into the Iran nuclear deal. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM, News at Noon.
A new vaccine, this time in the UK. I'm Ian Lee with what makes this one different.
And later, need another Thanksgiving side dish idea? We're making melting sweet potatoes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. A third vaccine to prevent the coronavirus could be available as early as next month. This one is produced in the UK by Oxford University and drug maker AstraZeneca. CBS's Ian Lee has more in World Watch.
Large-scale trials show the Oxford University vaccine is more than 70% effective, and that number may jump as high as 90% by tweaking its dosage. Scientists say the British jab may also stop people from passing the virus to others.
The reason we did all of those swabs was to ask the question, could a vaccine prevent transmission as well as disease? And yes, it looks as if it does to an extent.
Oxford teamed up with drug maker AstraZeneca to create the vaccine, said to be safe for all ages with mild side effects. Unlike the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, which require deep freezing, the UK vaccine can be stored in the fridge. Researchers say it's also cheaper to produce and faster to roll out once it receives regulatory approval.
We hope to be able to start vaccinating next month. The bulk of the vaccine rollout program will be in January, February, March.
Researchers celebrated online, high-fiving on Twitter.
Yeah, go ahead.
The trials got a boost from the U.S. Warp Speed program, which pumped in more than $1 billion in exchange for an initial rollout of 300 million doses. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
AstraZeneca says it is talking to the FDA, but it's possible the vaccine will be rolled out to the UK and other countries before it reaches America. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
There's a new food craze that I think you should know about. Trust me, you'll want to give it a try once I show you what it is.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Somebody I know would have appreciated it if I would start off the Monday weather talking about finding a silver lining, and that's exactly what we'll do. Is we're going to be able to dispatch the fog that we had today, the rain we're going to have tomorrow, and actually set up for a very pleasant Thanksgiving holiday. I just wanted to point out something interesting on the almanac here. 1950 record low of 13 degrees. I want to go back to Thursday, November 19th. That's when we challenged the record of 75 degrees at Joplin Regional Airport. It just so happens that record high 4 days ago happened to be from 1950. Still not bad when we talk about the month of November as far as our average high, sitting at an even 67 degrees. And while last time when I left you on Friday, we were number 4 through the first 20 days, well, through the first 23 days, we're still not too bad. We're tied for 6th all time at Joplin Regional Airport. So even the fact that we're going to have some cooler temperatures just goes to show you how abnormally warm we were there in the middle of the month. 52 outside the mothership right now as we see temperatures ranging from the high 40s into the low 50s, a far cry from where we were this morning when we were below freezing. Couple of pressure systems I want to point out. High pressure hanging over the Mississippi, low over the Rockies right here. Important thing is we saw that barometer falling. Where's it going to go? Well, the low pressure heads toward us. The high pressure makes a beeline for the mid-Atlantic, so that means we are going to have some thunderstorm activity just in time for Tuesday. Now, it'd be easy to look at this system and say, wow, we skirted past it. We're done, right? Nah, we're actually going to have more generate through central Oklahoma and then move up from the southwest up to the northeast. Interesting of note, in case you did miss it this morning, we actually had some freezing fog. That's indicated right there in the pink. Now, trace amounts of precipitation and really hasn't amounted to much. And eventually, by the time we get to the evening hours, this will push through. Clouds aren't going to go anywhere. We're going to have to deal with just mostly cloudy skies. But the nice thing about that is all this warmth that comes down from the southwest, that cloud cover traps it, keeps us from freezing overnight. And that's going to be key because with the precipitation that's headed our way on Tuesday, it could have gotten nasty had we had the same temperatures that we had this morning. Throughout the afternoon, not a whole lot of bump up. We'll go low to mid 50s for the most part. And then, as I said, cloud cover is going to stick around. A little uptick in the south wind right there. We'll go about 15 to 20 miles per hour as we head into the morning. So let's go ahead and talk about that Tuesday morning commute, because this is where it gets a little interesting as it begins to generate right there. Down there at the Texas-Oklahoma state line, it comes right toward us, just in time for everybody to get out the door. We're going to see some heavy rain. The thunder and lightning is going to hold off a little bit, but it will eventually reemerge because the rain lasts all the way through the evening and afternoon and evening hours. Takes us into Tuesday night as well before it dips through. So when we talk about the severe thunderstorm risk map, we do have an increase right here, especially down to our southwest and northeast Oklahoma, where we see the low category. Our biggest threat is going to be some high winds along with the lightning and thunder that really are going to merge Tuesday afternoon. Now, after that, Tanya, like I said, here's our silver lining. Bye-bye fog, bye-bye rain, Wednesday cool. How about a Thanksgiving? 60, dry, partly sunny and mild.
I'll take it. Sounds like a good Thanksgiving to me.
I figure at this point in my life, why not? I'm staking my claim to it.
Good day to eat.
I'll plant my flag in that one right there. There you go.
Sounds good to me. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Warner Tigreen in the U.S. Army. The Chinook, Kansas native joined the military in 1945. He served in Africa during World War II. To Sergeant Warner Tigreen, we thank you, our four-state hero. If you're new to the world of melting potatoes, then you're in for a treat. Howard shows us how to make his melting sweet potatoes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Every few months, there seems to be a new food craze. One that's trending right now is called melting potatoes. Basically, it's potatoes that are cut into thick slices that are either sautéed or oven roasted at high temperatures. Then they're finished with some kind of broth or liquid, which makes them melt in your mouth. We start by cutting a few peeled sweet potatoes into half-inch slices. Then we toss them with some melted butter that we mix with a bit of salt and cinnamon. These go onto a baking sheet and into a 450-degree oven until both sides start to get crispy. Once they are, we drizzle them with apple cider and back into the oven they go. This sort of poaches them. You can also do this with white baking potatoes and swap out the apple juice for chicken broth if you'd like. To take these over the top, we glaze them with some maple syrup that we added some chopped pecans to. Talk about irresistible. Crispy on the outside and melty delicious on the inside. The recipe for our melting sweet potatoes is on our website now, just in time for Thanksgiving. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a trendy melt in your mouth way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Pretty calm and mild tonight with temperatures well above the freezing point, but remember, just in time for tomorrow morning, that's when the rain arrives. We're looking at anywhere from an inch to inch and a half of accumulation. And then as we progress into Tuesday night, there comes some heavy rain and thunderstorm activity. But remember, we're going to clear this thing out, set up for a nice Thanksgiving Thursday. Now, over to Dow with a look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, at 5, thousands of Americans have been lining up outside food banks in recent days. Researchers estimate food insecurity in the U.S. doubled in the first few months after the coronavirus arrived. We're going to look at the growing need before the holidays. Plus, plans to travel for Thanksgiving. We're going to speak with local health officials about following CDC recommendations. And a Joplin woman is gathering signatures for a petition to have some Joplin City Council members removed from office. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more KOAM News at 5.
All right, thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.